So there'll be no spectators at Olympic events in Tokyo. The organizing committee made the decision after Japan declared a state of emergency in the capital as coronavirus cases there surge. The policy for venues outside Tokyo will be decided on a case-by-case basis. Medical experts have criticized plans to go ahead with the games. The government and organizers say they're doing everything they can to ensure safe Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Without
the pandemic, the Olympic Games would be an amazing opportunity to unite people. But unfortunately, the pandemic could not allow us to hold events with full spectators. We are very sorry for the locals living near the Olympic venues.
Peter Stemmet, our sports presenter, joins us now on the program. 2 weeks to go before the Olympics start. This was kind of expected. What impact is it going to have, though, on athletes and their performances?
Yeah, Folly, quite right. It was expected. I think we all saw this coming. What impact is it going to have? Well, I think from an athlete's point of view, consider that they train not just for 4 years between Olympics, but many of them, they've been training for their whole lives for this moment. And you would want to think that winning a medal, whether it be gold, silver or bronze, it's the kind of thing that you enjoy in front of a crowd, especially in athletics and swimming, some of the other sports as well, but especially those two. Those are the two flagship events at the Olympic Games. 80,000 people, or in the swimming arena, maybe 15,000 people cheering your name perhaps, and that is gone. That will not be at Tokyo 2020.
But for some of the events, it doesn't really make a difference, does it? Events like fencing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there are certain sports which are a lot smaller, more niche, the kind of things that only really get attention every 4 years, and in between, I don't want to say nobody cares, but it doesn't get the kind of attention that it would perhaps like to have, fencing being a very good example of that. And in those cases, while the athletes are actually playing or competing, the crowd is expected to keep quiet. So, from an atmosphere point of view, it doesn't really make a difference. But again, once it's all done and medals are being handed out, you'd like to get an applause or from the crowd. That's not going to be happening.
Indeed. The Japanese Olympic Committee president has apologized to people who've bought their tickets already. What impact is this going to have financially on revenue? I imagine it's going to be costly for Japan.
Well, it's going to hit them. It's not going to hit the International Olympic Committee because the IOC already has its money from broadcasting and sponsorships. Between the two of them, you're looking at around $15 to $18 billion. However, the ticket sales, that is where the Japanese organizing committee loses its money. You're looking at anything up to around $800 to $900 million. And that, unfortunately, is going to have to be paid by the Japanese taxpayer.
Peter, thank you very much for that. Now, earlier, I spoke to Dan Olowitz, who's a sports writer with the Japan Times. He says the announcement is hugely disappointing for Olympic fans and for Japan as a whole.
This was supposed to be our shining moment. This was supposed to be a huge moment for Tokyo, for Japan. So much effort has gone into preparing the capital to host these games, the infrastructure, the emphasis on improving service for inbound tourists, everything that has changed in the city over the last decade has been in anticipation of these Olympics, and now it's going to be a lot of empty stadiums. I think that holding the games without fans is the easiest way for organizers to get this event across the finish line, just like the runners, just like every other competitor at the games, with minimal risk to the health and safety of the athletes and all other participants. By taking away the fans, you're reducing the need for staffing, you're reducing the number of volunteers who need to be on site, and you're reducing the strain on the public transit system. It makes sense just from a logistical perspective, but obviously these aren't going to be games it's not going to create a sense of excitement. You're not going to have the festival atmosphere that we've seen in Rio, in London, in Beijing, in Athens before that. So it is really disappointing.